Hello, and welcome to CareSmartz360 On Air. I'm Dennis Gill, Senior Sales Consultant at CareSmartz360. Today, we welcome Vicki Demirozu, a passionate healthcare leader and the force behind giving care with grace, to unpack a very critical question. Why does most caregiver training fail? So, with a deep focus on peer-driven education and real-world application, Vicky shares what today's caregivers actually need to succeed and stay. From soft skills to meaningful engagement, this conversation explores how better training doesn't just support caregivers, it transforms care outcomes across the entire agency. So, welcome to the podcast, Vicky.
Thank you so much, Dennis. What a pleasure and to be here today. Thank you.
No, thank you. We are really glad that you were able to take up the time today for our listeners, and we hope this is a very fruitful and a brilliant session for all the listeners. Okay, so without wasting any time, I'll straight away jump in with my first question for you. We keep many agencies invest in training, right? So yet
Mhm.
still struggle with the caregiver performance and retention. Where do you think most training programs go wrong?
Right. I think really and truly, so much of the training is compliance and technical skills focused. And
Hmm.
we know that caregivers have to have that technical piece in order to deliver the physical care to their clients and their patients.
Okay,
However, oftentimes that's really where the training stops. It's a technical component, and there is a lot of focus on compliance, which certainly
okay,
is also very, very important. However, it's that people in their job as human beings, right? That
hmm,
sometimes and oftentimes we don't spend as much focus on.
okay, got it, got it. So the focus should be more on the human side of it, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, perfect. And from your experience, what's the difference between the training that caregivers complete and the training that actually changes the behavior on the job?
Right. So we know that when a situation occurs with a patient or a client and the
Hmm.
caregiver, oftentimes they react
Okay,
based on what they have known from before. They're reacting based on life experiences,
got it.
not modules. And I think that's something that we really need to think about because with that focus, and training is phenomenal. Don't get me wrong. I am the biggest proponent for that. I don't believe
Okay,
that there is what I'm trying to say is there is more of a gap, right?
okay,
Because we've got the technical piece over here, but how are we actually changing behavior when we're just teaching that technical piece, right? It's like
yeah,
if you're suddenly startled in a situation with someone, you don't always think back to module number 3.
got it.
You react based on your life experiences
Life
and your
experiences.
exposure. And so what we've got to do is to quit, not quit, but reframe how we focus. Instead of training, it's really development and
Got it.
coaching.
Yep, coaching and development. And soft skills like empathy and communication are often talked about, but really, rarely, very rarely mastered. So, why are these so difficult to train effectively in home care, according to you?
Right. Well, I think part of it is because we don't really emphasize it.
Hmm.
We say, you have to do this and you have to do that and you have to clock in and again back to that compliance motion. And
Yeah.
let's face it, with all of our technology, which is phenomenal, by the way, I think it's really
Hmm.
improved so many processes, but we don't see folks as much anymore in our
Okay.
business. People may see them one time. And so how do you um, really focus on the empathy and the communication when you've only been with them one time? And that interaction isn't necessarily mirroring that because we're so
Uh-huh.
busy trying to get the documents and the papers and the training. And I
Yeah.
always say you have to mirror the behavior you desire,
Mm.
right?
Emotional connect is missing. That
Yes.
definitely does miss. Yeah, that has to be trained. That has to be done. And how can agencies design training programs that engage both new and experienced caregivers without overwhelming or disengaging them?
Right. Well, I think, we all have different life experiences. We
Hmm.
all have different exposure. We have different cultures. And that's the beauty of caregiving is we have such a blended group of individuals providing this care. But at the end of the day, we have to provide examples that resonate with them.
Yeah,
And again, because when something happens in a situation, they're thinking back from their perspective or
their
their
perspective. Yeah.
experiences. And
Hmm.
we know that culturally, generationally, we're dealing with today, we have 8 different generations, 4 of which are in the workplace. So when you think about that, we all have had, a lot of different things going on. And so we've got to really equip them
Hmm.
with different experiences
Got it.
and different types of exposure that they may not have had.
Yeah, differently. That has to be handled differently according to the individual. It should be different. And that thing, I
Yeah,
definitely agree with you that obviously they will, whenever they will react according to their own experiences. They won't remember that they learned this thing from this book or this thing from over there. That I completely get that.
right. They want to see it. They want to hear it from people that have been in their shoes. And that's why the peer component is so important. And
Hmm.
not just with the seasoned, experienced caregivers, but oftentimes we like to blend the newly emerging caregivers so that the seasoned and more experienced caregivers can understand what their perspective is. Back to the generational component. When you've got the baby boomers on one side and then Gen X, different generations together, we don't all process information the same way. We don't all value the same things in the same order. And so it's
Definitely.
been really interesting to bring the two groups together to have those collaborative discussions.
Yeah, and every generation, according to that, they will react differently for a similar situation. So obviously,
Absolutely.
yeah,
And
it does differ.
yeah, and their values and what they respect and what they react to aren't always the same either.
Yep, definitely, definitely. And the main thing with AI and automation entering home care now. How do you see AI supporting or potentially limiting caregiver training and development?
Right. I think, AI is an absolutely incredible support system for
Hmm.
all of us.
All of us, yeah.
But but it doesn't always or necessarily have the ability to develop how somebody shows up.
Yeah.
And truly, at the end of the day, how an individual shows up to that assignment or that shift or that care opportunity, that's
Hmm.
really what matters. Because again, at the end of the day, you can have those technical skills and you can transfer a patient, but if you don't do that with, as you were saying, the empathy, the compassion, the appropriate communication skills, it falls flat.
It holds flat, yeah.
Yeah, and AI, I think, gives a lot of opportunity from the standpoint of efficiencies,
Hmm.
from helping companies really get that hire to work go very, very quickly. We've
Hmm.
speeded up a lot of different things with instant pay, same day pay, a lot of things like that. But at the core, my belief is that AI will never, ever replace that human touch.
Yeah. Obviously, because AI is also there, it is easing our work culture a little bit, but it cannot replace a complete human being and do everything and specifically I would say in the home care side, because in this place, empathy and emotional touch is required.
Right.
And lastly, as we look
Mhm.
ahead to 2026, what shifts do agencies need to make now in caregiver training to stay competitive and improve both retention and care quality?
From compliance to capability, that's huge, right? The
Mhm.
compliance is there, but the capabilities that the individuals doing this have, and it's even in our phrasing of how we do it. And from training, we're going to
Mhm.
train you. We want to help develop you. We want to
Develop
help
you.
develop your skills. Share with me where some things that you would like to feel more confident because when you develop an individual, their confidence builds. And when people
Yeah.
are confident in what they do, they don't automatically go back to that long-term way of thinking. When they feel confident, they employ the things that they've learned from our development training, not training, but the development and growth.
development and the growth. Yep. So yeah, thank you for your time today, Vicki. It was great talking to you. I know this was a small session for our listeners today. We would definitely love to have a much longer conversation with you with this topic or some other topics in the near future, and so that our listeners can benefit from all the great experience that you have in this industry.
Thank you so much, Dennis. What a pleasure.
No, thank you. And thank you to all my listeners. This is Dennis Gill signing off, and I'll be back with you shortly then. Thank you.